can you see my PowerPoint slides? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Right. Now, the fact that I've seen thumbs up means you can hear me. So we know we're there. The fact that I can see your faces and you can see mine, I think we're on to a winner straight away. But welcome to the pre-course setup. I will just run through some things that if we've sorted out this side of Saturday, will make Saturday go an awful lot better. So over here, I will change. Right. An opportunity to check your equipment works, talk freely as parents, and answer any specific questions. So I'm going to work through this rather lengthy checklist, but it will be quite quick. So first of all, you are on Zoom, so it is working. Now, what I find helpful is to use the same Zoom link every day. So rather than you having to find the email and get it on the right machine, it will always be that. Now, sometimes things go wrong and I have to change it, but the vast majority of the time, I take the one Zoom link from beginning to end of the course. So hopefully that will happen. But if you sign in before me, you will get an error message because it thinks that it's for today and we're going to use it on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. And so it will say, And so sometimes I get sort of texts and WhatsApp saying, oh, the Zoom link doesn't work. But all it is it's because I initially set it up to be for today. So it will give you an error message. But I will always set up before the start time and there shouldn't be a problem. We can all hear each other. That's great. Has everybody had their keyboards and webcams delivered? Just give me a thumbs up if you've got them all. It's worth getting them out the boxes and check that they work. I've never had a problem with the webcam. The webcams I've sent you, I think, are really fab. I have had one problem with a keyboard once, and it just got knocked in the post. And so when they came to type, it didn't work. But if I know in advance, I'll get you another one set out. And then you should have had, I'm just trying to find this, all the stickers and these things. These things are for fingers. I don't use them 90% of the time. Had this been a bigger class, I wouldn't have sent them out to everybody. When I'm doing the summer course and I've got children for a longer period, I wait to see who needs them and then send them out because so few children need them. But some children, they really help to know which finger to use which key. So that's what they are. I think I've jumped the gun a bit, but I've answered that question. It's very, very important that you always have the regular keyboard. So I have a blind keyboard, but I also have a regular keyboard. And the reason for that is the children need to sign into different things. And with the blind keyboard right now, that's just going to be too hard. And that's why I give you an additional keyboard rather than putting the stickers on the regular keyboard. So when they're not doing typing practice, you can just unplug it and you can always use the regular keyboard. Sometimes when people are using a desktop, not a laptop, they just unplug the regular keyboard and then the child can't log into anything and they get very confused. So you always need both. Right, something that is key is during the course, when I'm teaching the children, so right at the beginning, we're going to have the webcams on their faces the same way that you are doing it now. But during the course, I will ask you them to switch so they're using a webcam on their fingers. Now, there's two ways of doing this. You can use the same webcam all the time and just get it and move it down. I'll show you. I'll try to show it to you what I mean. Sorry, give me 1 second. These are the webcams I use. When I'm just doing an exercise class, I have it on a tripod so I can maneuver it around, but I've just sent them like this, so they will be on your laptop or your monitor. And what I need the children to do is at times, I need them to go from looking at them like this to looking down. So they angle them down. And the easiest way to do it, rather than having to change one all the time, is if they're on a laptop that has an integrated webcam, is to use Zoom functionality to change the camera. So if you look at Zoom, at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you've got a microphone and you've got a camera. And if you hit them, you just get a red line through them, which is switching them off, switching off the microphone and switching off the camera. But next to them, you've got a little up arrow, and that allows you to toggle or change your camera. So if you do have the second camera on, I would like you to have a go at toggling between the cameras now. And if you want to ask questions, if it's not clear, feel free to just switch your microphone on and ask me. That's it, Natalie, spot on. Now, actually, Natalie, my preference by far is, rather than seeing it from the side, I much prefer to see it from the top. Yeah, it's much easier for me to see if students are using the right fingers, if it comes from the top down, as opposed to, that's why I don't give you, I used to give people these stands as well, but I worked out if it's on top of the monitor, I get a much better view than if it's on a stand looking down. It's a more uniform view. So does everyone feel that they know what they're doing there, or do you want to ask any questions? Well, if I don't hear anything, I'm assuming there are no questions. If you say, for example, your microphone isn't working, then feel free to use the chat if that would be easier. Because then I can hear I can see what you're doing then. I'm just trying to, I've got so many different windows open. I'm trying to, I tell you what, I'm going to stop the share for a sec. Well, the chat, I'm going to put some, and I use the chat with the children a lot. So I'm going to go into the chat and ask you to tell me, are you happy with switching cameras? And if you could just give me a yes, then I'll know. Yeah, all good from Victoria. If anyone else could tell me, then I know. Yeah, you all know how to do chat. Fabulous. And while I'm talking about chat, I'm getting this a little bit out of sync, is tomorrow, on Saturday, when I talk to your children, I will be asking them questions on chat and on polls, and I won't be asking them to speak to everybody, because for some children that's really intimidating, but other children really say that, oh, I want to talk to everybody, why can't I talk? So on the second day, I'm going to give children the opportunity, if they want, to introduce themselves and say what they're looking forward to from February half-term holiday, but nobody ever has to do anything. So I wanted to warn you of that, because if you have, I know there's one person on the course who doesn't want the camera on her. I would much prefer every student to have the camera on them, but as online schooling's gone on, more and more students don't want it. So I am used to that, but it's not an option when it comes to their fingers. So sometimes I find the people that don't want the camera on them during lessons, then and I have to put the camera, because I can't supervise their fingers if the camera isn't on their fingers. So it's optional to have it on your face, but I would strongly recommend children do have the camera on their face, because I can teach better when I see their reactions, because I know how well they're understanding stuff. But I know that that's not always possible, and I'm not going to force that with anybody, but I do force it on their fingers. So let me see where we haven't got to yet. So we can point the external webcam at the keyboard, we can switch between the webcam and the student faces, right? And have you found where to create the blind keyboard? You don't have to have it done by today, but it needs to be done by Saturday. Well done, top of the class, Sally. But yeah, great. And do check the blind keyboards, because if you just leave a child to do it, there will be a nice pattern, but it won't necessarily be a correct pattern. And that is quite key. So sometimes when we're oh, something's not right. And we realize that the stickers were put on properly. So it is worth checking. And that's all on my website. So let's have a look. What else do I want to talk to you about? I've talked about the bands, and when the lesson begins, it will be like this. It will be with cameras on their face, not on their fingers, because we will have a chat, we'll learn about the course, and then we'll get into typing. And then we go into smaller groups, and I ask them to put the camera on their fingers, and we do that quite a lot. So some of it's lessons, some of it is keyboard. So other helpful setup activities, it's really worth reading all the parent information. So the before the course and during the course, and that way you're not shocked by anything that happens on the course. On the first day, students will need a pen and paper. That's only on the first day, but they will need a pen and paper. If they're doing this in the kitchen or a room, a living space where the rest of the family is, you might want them to have headphones. If siblings are doing it in the same room, they absolutely need headphones. Nessie is all of the programs can be very noisy. Especially if they're dyslexic and they're having everything read aloud to them. And Nessie has this music going all the time as well. So you don't really want that in a family area. So I would recommend headphones. It's not necessary, but you might be irritated by it. So you'll want the headphones. Now, all the children on this course are at the top of infants, so year 6, or are in secondary school. So they should all be more than capable of following instructions, but that isn't always the case, particularly online. So if you know that your child really struggles to follow instructions, I would recommend you're in the room and you're able to help them, because there's only so much help that we can give. And we're pretty good at giving help online, but for some children, they just need an adult to say, no, press that button. So if you stick around, and if we get into a situation with your child where we can't explain things to them, then we will text you, or even better, we'll WhatsApp you. So do you all have WhatsApp accounts? Yeah, we find that really, really useful, because we can just say, oh, they're getting upset, or they're just not understanding something, and we can tell you that straight away. If you're having problems, then do get hold of me, or get hold of whoever's looking after your child's group, and we can give you their mobile numbers. But do it first of all with a WhatsApp or a text, and then call, but don't email, because when I'm teaching, I don't read email. I kind of read email when everyone's finished and I see all these urgent things, because I'm too busy to read email. But I always have my phone on me in case somebody can't get in or they have problems. So my phone's normally just on the desk in front of me. So that's that. Communications. If I have any concerns, I'll contact you. Sometimes parents say, are they doing okay? Assume they're doing fine unless I contact you. And I do contact parents, but it's all going well if I don't contact you. If you have any concerns, if there's something they hate, just let me know. Maybe they hate someone in the group they're in, or I want to make this as pleasant for your child as possible. They've had a term and they're tired, or they've had half a term, and they are using their holiday to learn. And I respect that. And I want to make this as enjoyable as possible. So, when with my kids, I'd be like, oh, shut up, you'll be fine. But honestly, let me know. And if I can change something, I will. In the distance learning section, so not this section, the first section is the supervised training. And then I set them work and they get on with it themselves. I WhatsApp students daily if they have their own phone, and that the whole point of that is to stop you being the person that's nagging them. Oh, have you done your typing practice? It just makes your life a bit easier. So make sure I've got the right mobile number. So when you registered, you gave me a mobile number. Sometimes for ease, parents put their WhatsApp number in, their number in. You do not want to be on that WhatsApp, just let it be your kid. And if the kids don't have a mobile, then that's fine. It won't work for them. But I think the majority of children will have a mobile number, and they probably do have a WhatsApp, and it gives them that prompt and a reminder. And if they do really well, I send them something that says, wow, what a great result. And if they go a day without practicing, I send them something that says, hello, are you still alive? Come on, do some practice. So that's the sort of thing that goes on. Now, if you know your child won't handle that well, tell me, and I won't include them on the WhatsApp. So it's not set in stone. I'm happy to do what will help your child the most, and you know your child best. So I do need to make sure I've got the right mobile number. And then I think we're on to finally, what if your child finds typing too hard? I just want to warn you that typing is hard, and the vast majority of the children that I work with love the course, are glad they did it, and really, really come on. I would say about 98% that is the case. Maybe, no. There will be about 10% of students who will never learn to touch type. And it's very unusual. I think I've been doing this for a long time, and I've come across one or two in that time, but that doesn't mean they won't learn to type. It means I will teach them to type rather than touch type. And I will try very hard for no one else on the course to realize that they're doing something different. Now, it probably won't happen on this course, but if it does, that's how will happen. And it doesn't mean that your child's not intelligent. It's just a dexterity issue. And it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen sometimes. So I want to warn you of that. And I've been doing this for so long that as long as the children follow the plan that I give them, I can normally identify what the problem is with them and give them individual stuff that will help them. And that's when I start WhatsApping parents, and I'll say, oh, get them to try this, get them to try that. So even though we have a supervised section where I'm very hands-on, I'm actually very hands-on at the second side, but they don't know it. It's because I'm looking at the results. I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm figuring, oh, I wonder what the problem is. Why don't we try this? Or why don't we try that? And then when we get together in the webinars, that's when I kind of say, oh, what'd be a good idea to try this? And we go into breakout rooms, and I have one-to-ones with people as they need them. So it isn't all group training. There are lots of one-to-ones in there as required. And then finally, I was just going to ask if anyone had any questions.
No, I think you answered all my questions. Thank you. That's really clear.
Good. But anything else? Or if something occurs to you between now and Saturday, I have very busy days in the day, Thursday and Friday. But in the evening, I could reply to WhatsApps or emails, or give me a call.
One thing, actually, Drew doesn't get his phone till Easter, because I've got to make it the same as his older brother.
That's fine.
He'd love to get the WhatsApps, though. If I could get them on I gave my number, I think, as you anticipated. If I just gave the messages and said these are the messages for him, would that be all right?
As long as you don't mind. And we won't tell the other children that, because I think they like having a forum that it's just kids, so they can actually have a moan about the mum, not that they do very often.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I might just say, I've got his number ready for him, so I'll let him have it for the 1 week, then he'll love that. He can have it early.
Oh, right. Oh, no, that's great, because he'll love the typing course, because he got his phone, but then I don't want to be you when he has to give it back.
Oh, he'll be fine. I think.
Right. So any other questions? Anything else? Well, if anything occurs to you, let me know. Thank you for letting me do this early. I don't know if you noticed, but I've had 2 months off doing a lot of work with Afghan refugees, and I've got to do some tonight as well. And so that's why I'm going to get off and do that. But if you do think of anything else, I'm very happy to take calls. If you see at any point, oh, you know what, the course would be much better if, then let me know, because I'm forever trying to think, oh, I'll change this, I'll change that. And I don't think I've arrived. So if you do think of anything that would make it even better, it's very complicated. The hardest thing is getting people to understand all the different parts. But I've put it together in this way to make it really cost effective and still get kids typing at the end. So that's all I needed to say. So if there's no more questions, I'll finish here. Okay, I shall see you all on Saturday, or maybe not. But one thing I should say is, if parents are, while I said at the beginning of this, better to not have any kids here, I never, ever say it would be better if parents weren't here. For some children, it really helps to have their parents around. And truthfully, a lot of this, I'm training you guys as well to know the technology that they can use in a year's time, or 3 years' time, or 4 years' time. And a lot of it will go over their head because they're not doing that yet. But if you know it will help them, you can remind them as it goes along. And so that doesn't mean to say you need to listen to everything I say, but I will send them videos to watch, and they're as much for you as they are for the children. Okay, brilliant. Well, I look forward to seeing all your children on Saturday morning. See you. Bye-bye.